Jeff is a certified reliability leader, CRL Black Belt. He has successfully transformed various industries from a reactive environment to world-class organizations. His work has spanned substantial cross-sections of industries including potash, oil sands, mining, pulp and paper, packaging, petrochemical, marine, brewing, transportation, synfuels, and others. He collaborated with ReliabilityWeb.com to create the Certified Maintenance Manager course. Jeff Smith has published multiple reliability papers, articles, webinars, book chapters, and has spoken at numerous conferences globally. Jeff, welcome to The Stand.
Hey, Jeff Smith, welcome to The Stand. Great to have you here.
Oh, nice to be back.
Really great.
We've played this game before.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, but we've got some new stuff to talk about. Tell me what you've been working on.
Well, have we got the time?
I don't know. We got like 12 minutes, I think.
Well, you look at what we've done over the last year. The Uptime Elements management system, what an amazing piece of work. Just it ties it together. It ties it together with peripheral work, the people and culture, which of course I wasn't working on, but great work. The domain level training, to be able to, people have roles, and roles are associated with domains. Your entire career could be the work execution management domain. So to have deeper level training in the things that you care about and you focus on is part of what we've really been developing. So.
Yeah, it's Uptime Elements tends to be very broad, but it's one of the reasons why there's so few CRL Black Belts, because who works across all 5 domains, and now all 7 domains. So we've just added the IoT domain. Many people are familiar with that. And then here at the conference, we're adding the people and culture at work and the Uptime Elements management system, like you mentioned. So this domain level training. So you're saying reliability engineering for maintenance. We've got asset condition management. We've got work execution management, leadership for reliability, and asset management. So we're going through it at a little deeper level, but narrower, rather than the broad Uptime Elements, narrow by domain.
Well, certainly. I mean, the CRL teaches the common language, and we get people to have that level of awareness that they really understand that these subjects add value. The whole broad elements chart. If I may work in one area, but this other area is going to impact me. It's a bowl of spaghetti. Everything touches everything else. So now that we're looking at the way we're developing the training, we're moving. So you take the base level understanding and awareness. We can now have the conversations. So we move to what I consider the mid-tier training, which is now the domain level training, so I can really understand the interrelationships between the individual elements within that domain and apply them to my role. Now, as we've talked about, there's also the high level training, that very advanced stuff, but here at Reliability Web, we're the messenger. So for example, if you look at the high level training of CMMS, again, that would be, we'd move that to what CMS to use and talk to the vendor. We're not the house to deliver that level of point and click type training, but we certainly can draw from the huge body of knowledge you've created over all these years and compile it into such useful information, such deep training. It's deep work. It's as I've basically been up in Canada, just facing the screen, doing what I call deep work. But wow, I think it's really going to be useful for our community.
I'm glad it's winter, because you'll be stuck in there and you'll have to do even more. So on that domain level training, we've had belts for a while, domain mastery belts. So those are project oriented.
Certainly.
So those are, first you do the broad Uptime Elements training, earn your CRL, and then you can do a validated project in any of the domains. The training that you're working on which is we call practice. The training you're working on is really knowledge, deepening your knowledge, right? And they can result in the Association of Asset Management Professionals badging.
Yeah.
So there's badging and belts. Talk a little bit about why you would use a belt and why you would use a badge.
Well, I can say my domain is reliability engineering for maintenance. I'm a reliability engineer, and that's my focus. Now, to get my orange belt, I'm going to do a project on reliability strategy development. Now, I've worked in an existing plant my whole career. I've done this beautiful project. I've got my orange belt. I'm working towards my black belt with other domains. So that proves to me that I've done reliability strategy development. I understand that very well. But I may have never been exposed to a capital project, but all of a sudden they're doing an expansion at my plant, and now there's a capital project going on. My expertise is reliability strategy development, but I don't know anything about commissioning, about operational readiness, that kind of thing. So to understand a domain and really succeed in your career, it's a domain level understanding you need. It isn't necessarily the element level. So not just deepening the element training, but having a section of the training that is how all these domains interrelate to each other to create the outcome you're looking for. So the badges mean I understand this domain. A belt means I've done a valid project for a element within this domain. Now, very valuable as a black belt myself, very proud of that. It's one of the hardest things I've had to accomplish in my career is to do all the projects to get the black belt. But, badges have great validity, especially domain level badges. I feel they're very important.
I like them. We're really excited about it. So there's sort of a knowing with the badges and a doing with the belts.
Certainly. And then as you look at our 10, 20, 70 training curriculum, the doing is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you reinforce your thinking. That's where you sort of, you have your aha moments. You don't have your aha moments in a classroom. Well, you will somewhat, but the real, internalizing what you've learned comes from doing. It comes from being in the field and actually executing, experiential learning.
So 10% classroom learning, 20% sort of informal, like these conference settings or practice exchanges, and then 70% of the learning is really going to come from on the job?
Certainly, as you know, there's various studies that will back that theory. But if you think about it yourself, internalize that, and take that context yourself. You walk out of the classroom, you've just drank from a fire hose for a few days, and you've got most of it, and you think you understand it, and you maybe got some takeaway material, and then you come to these conferences and you see someone present on the same subject, and you're, I get that deeper. You sit here and watch Ron Moore, who has this unique ability to explain it simply, and make you feel foolish for not doing it. So yeah, certainly, and the cross learning you get from coming to these conferences and interchanging with the Reliability Leadership Institute, you look at the cross learning between groups, that's at 20%. But at the end of the day, you're at your site, whether you're at corporate level, whether you're at site level, at the end of the day, you're applying your knowledge within your organization. And that's where you really get that 70% of learning where it bakes in and becomes just true knowledge, not just information.
Nice. Yeah, we call it, I think, the I forget reliability curve. There's studies that show that you're going to forget 30% of that fire hose training in maybe 3 days, and like 70% in 7 days, and 90% in 30 days, unless you apply it.
Exactly, and if you look at we can take criticality analysis, for example. I could sit here and tell you this is how you do it. This is and people will get it. But if you've ever sat in-house and done criticality on your own equipment, and you've facilitated machine after machine, you've had the deep conversations, you've had the aha moments that, that is a safety risk that we didn't even identify. The stuff you find during a criticality analysis, that internalize it. Once you've really delivered one, it's pretty amazing. Now, I will go to the other side, looking at the point in my career, once you've delivered 50 of them, you kind of want to, maybe someone else can do this.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, one of the things I'm really excited about is that although we work together on the Uptime Elements framework with some other really great people, I'm not those domain experts. I'm not the how-to experts. You've actually worked in the field for so many years, and you've got such great knowledge. What I'm excited about is this young generation coming up. Of course, we made Uptime Elements available to them, but now you're making this whole sort of experience, knowledge-based, domain-level training available to them. And that, to me, I'll just tell you, is the most exciting. I love everything we're doing together, but I love the idea that these people who may not have the knowledge, may not have the experience, are not only going to have access to the Uptime Elements framework, they're really tapping into your knowledge and your experience at the domain level.
Well, and the stuff we're building isn't just my knowledge. It's Reliability Web's huge body of knowledge. The research I do to develop this content, I'm a lifetime learner. I learned everything I build. I find, teaching, you enhance your knowledge by teaching. By developing training material, again, you're driving that up. But we're also building. What I'm excited about is we're targeting the digital native. We're building avatar-enabled, AI-supported training content that people can consume in the way that a digital native would consume it. The digital native won't necessarily pick up a book and read it and memorize it. They want it point and click, and they want it delivered very straightforward. They want it, accessible. They want it, video enabled. So the way we're building the training material too has great validity, and I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm very proud of it. It's great to work with you again. What about any advice for people who are on a learning, doing path? Concentrate on the learning, concentrate on the doing, get involved in these communities of practice. Give these digital natives some advice as to how to make this journey.
Well, strategy, tactics, they're learnable. Technologies, it's easy to, in my mind anyway, it's easy to learn the technologies. It's easy to learn tactics that you apply, and it's easy to figure out strategies. The hard part is always the cultural, human part of it. Whatever you learn, at some point you're going to apply that learning. Otherwise, you've learned it just for the sake of, you have a little bit of knowledge, and maybe it's a good trivia answer, but, if you're going to actually apply this stuff, when you're applying it, the human part of it is so important. Being able to not just say, this is how we do it, the why, as we talked with Simon Sinek, why we do this. So in the training content, we do try and bake in so people leave that training with a good understanding of the why, right? And communicate. No matter what you're doing, what you're trying to create, you've learned something, you've absorbed it, you're now trying to apply it. At the end of the day, you're applying it not just directly to machines, you're applying it to groups of people managing machines. Manage the human part of it too. Now, that's why it circles back to the CRL. It circles back to leadership. That's why have the CRL start with understanding leadership, understanding the humans, the work you did developing the CRL was an amazing piece of work, and watching Dave teach it, having taught it myself. That's the foundation, and it's the foundation not just on the technologies, but it's the cultural foundation. Take that with you through your levels of learning through to application.
Terrific. Great. Well, wonderful to have a chance to sit down with you during the International Maintenance Conference, and we hope there's many more to come. We are so honored to be working with you, and we're looking forward to much more in the future.
Appreciate it, Terrence. So just, as you know, I'm a student of reliability. I've studied it. That's all I've ever done is studied reliability, and having the opportunity to develop this content, it just allows me to continue my journey, continue my stand.
Well, thank you for being who you are.
Thank you.
Great to work with you.
You betcha, Terrence.
Thank you, Jeff.